following announcement has been paid for by the new Howl Order.
Whether the team has given us the highest of highs or the bluest of blues, we'll cover it all here. Commanders Nightly News. Now, of course, I'm your host, Louie T. Thank you for joining me. Let's get to tonight's lead story. So, yesterday's loss was another crushing blow. It was another one of those debilitating losses that kind of feels sort of like a finale, finality of some sort, right? Yesterday's loss felt like the final nail in not only the coffin of this season, but the Ron Rivera regime overall. That's a game they had to have. Losing to the Bears and losing to the Giants left you with little to no margin for error to finish up this season. With games against Dallas twice, Miami, the 49ers, you had to win this game. And you know what's the most disappointing part about this particular loss? And really, almost every single loss of this Rivera regime, but ones like this in particular, is it was expected. Everything that happened in this game felt rehearsed. It's like I was a part of the production team that put together this script. And so I already knew what was going to happen before it happened. And at some point as a fan, when you're always used to being disappointed, you just want someone to go in when you're not looking, change the script, and have the outcome be somewhat different than what you expect it to be. And unfortunately, when someone goes in and switches the script out for another one, for us, a lot of times it's a negative one, like the Bears game or the Giants game. It's never someone coming in when we're not looking, swapping out the script, and it's a positive one that we didn't see coming, and it ends well for the good guys. It's always something bad. Well, this time we knew exactly what the movie was. We knew the ending. We knew how everything was going to go, and they didn't change a single thing. And that, to me, is the epitome of what it is to be a Washington Commanders fan. Is you know how this is going to go, and there's nothing you can do about it. We knew that the defense wasn't going to get that stop at the end. We knew that this offense was going to give us a chance to win this game. In a tough environment, we knew that this thing was going to come down to execution in the tightest of moments, and we knew we weren't going to make the right plays, the winning plays. That's tough to stomach, okay? It's so predictable to score with 52 seconds left and to know that we're going to give up a field goal to lose this game. It's so predictable to have a short pass completed and know that your safety for the second consecutive week is going to miss a tackle that's going to lead for the second consecutive week to a 64-yard touchdown for the second consecutive week to a running back. That shouldn't have happened. But that's the predictability of this football team. We give up big plays. We don't make plays in winning time defensively. And, you know, for those of you who thought there was a chance that defensively it would be different this year, I predicted that this defense would be disappointing. To what degree? I didn't know. I didn't know we would be one of the worst defenses in football. And, you know, going back and watching this game gave me, it provided me with one of those moments where I just said to myself, you know, as much as I want to kill Jack here, and we love, that's one of our favorite pastimes, blame the coaching staff. And usually that's the right move. You can't go wrong by blaming the coaches, especially when you don't really know what the hell the players are supposed to do. You just know they're not doing something that helps us win. It's easy to just go straight to the coaches. But I've learned as a fan over the years that it's not as simple as just blame the coach. Players have to be held accountable as well. So I always like going back and watching just to make sure that the blame is being placed where it needs to be. And having gone back and watched it again, and it was painful just like it was watching it in real time, I got to take Jack off the hook for a couple of things. Because some of the things that plague this team simply aren't coaching errors. It's just guys not doing a very good job of doing their job. Percy Butler is a great example. Like, is Jack supposed to go out there and make the tackle for him 2 weeks in a row? You know, they call it capping, right? And not the kind that you are used to as a young fella or a young female out there. Not that capping. This capping it means to put a cap on a play. Okay? Yep, it got 13 yards. You're the guy that's supposed to stop it from being 64 yards and a touchdown. That's called capping it. You cap the play at 13 yards because you're the last line of defense. Well, Percy Butler seems incapable of capping a play properly. Is that Jack Del Rio's fault? That the Seahawks hadn't done anything offensively in terms of scoring touchdowns all day, and then Percy Butler decides to take another poor angle and miss a tackle for the second consecutive week to give up a 64-yard touchdown to the running back for the second consecutive week? No, that's not Jack Del Rio's fault. Jack blitzed in this game. You can't complain about Jack being simple Jack and ordinary Jack. He blitzed in this game, right? Jack put these guys in position to get off the field on third downs in this game. Hell, he even got them to fourth down a couple of times in this game, right? One in particular that was huge that we didn't stop them on. Why? Because Benjamin St. Juste decided he wanted to run up and hug as if he had just seen a long lost relative or someone he hadn't seen in years that he grew up with that he couldn't wait to see. He went up and hugged DK Metcalf on fourth down. Instead of playing the ball, he went up and hugged him. Now, Ronald today in his press conference said he was disappointed because they decided to call that penalty in a game where they let a lot go. And that's all. And I agree with him. I've always said my biggest complaint with the officials is that they let shit go all game long. And in the biggest moments, they decide to impart themselves into the game and decide some of the outcome. Now, that pass interference, we didn't have to give up a touchdown after that. They still could have held Seattle to a field goal. Like, they didn't have to give up a touchdown. Now, Benjamin St. Juste then decided to face mask and then give up the touchdown ultimately, 4 plays later. But that's nor here nor there. Juste put himself in a position to be flagged, but they had been letting physical contact down the field go. Our guys were being assaulted for most of the game. And they didn't call anything. And then in that moment, they decided to throw the flag. That's frustrating, but that's also life, okay? Don't put yourself in. That's always my position. I don't like to take the position of blaming the officials. I like to take the position of you control what you can control. And what Benjamin St. Juste can control is his ability to not go up and hug DK Metcalf like it's his, second cousin that he hasn't seen in 6 years. That he grew up with, used to sleep at each other's house, and they had the best of relationships, and now he's so glad to see him for the first time in almost a decade. Don't do it. He did it, and he got flagged for it. Okay? My biggest issue is guys are being put in positions to succeed, and they're not doing their jobs, too, right? So, but also, in saying that, it's the coach's jobs to ensure that guys do their job or you won't be on the field. And this staff has shown the inability to discipline players in that manner to send a message to the other players. All they continue to do is tell players, hey, you effed up, you keep effing up, get it right. But if I see that you're not going to bench him, then what's stopping me from continuing to make the same mistakes and not correcting my behavior? It'd be one thing if you set precedents, and they pick their spots when they decide to bench guys, and it takes usually an embarrassing performance and, something that is just so blatantly obvious that they have no choice, like Nick Gates, for instance, but other guys get away with so much. Some of it is due to the fact that you just don't have other guys that you can put in. What are you going to do? Going to bench Benjamin St. Juice, because this is not the first time Juice has guessed wrong at the cornerback position. He guessed wrong, and he told us as much in the Bears game against DJ Moore on a third and like forever. He's like, oh, I thought he was going to do something else, and so I'm wrong for that. Well, you can't keep guessing wrong, okay? So, for instance, 3rd and 4, game on the line. Jack's sending a blitz. Jack's doing what he's supposed to do, okay? Jack's sending a blitz, and you're playing with outside leverage, and you're giving away the slant. What have the Seahawks been doing on every big play of the game? And for that matter, what does every team usually go to in a big spot? Especially when you have a big, physical, hulking receiver like DK Metcalf or AJ Brown. It's the slant. So if I'm a corner, and I know this, and what did they run on the 4th and 5 earlier that you got PI'd for? A slant. So why would you think in this moment that they're going to run anything other than a slant? You should be playing the slant. And he said after the game, on the PI play, on the 4th and 5, well, I thought they were going to run something outbreaking, like a 7 or something like that because of the time. Time wasn't a factor, bro. There was 6 minutes left in the game, and it was 19-19. They ain't thinking about no damn timeouts. What are you talking about? Literally, F.A. Obata was supposed to drop into that slant zone, right? I don't know what F.A.'s doing. He's kind of just drifting off into almost like a hook zone instead. Like, where are you going? But that's nor here nor there. He panicked, which is what Benjamin St. Juice does often. He panicked, and he molested the receiver, and it was flagged. Learn from your mistakes. And this is the thing that drives me insane, is I just can't stand repeat offenders, okay? So you give up that play because you thought it was going to be something else. So you get to the same exact situation, and this time Seattle saw that we dropped a guy that should have been in that slant window in F.A. Obata. So what did they do? They switched sides with the slant play. That's all they did. They didn't do anything special. They just said, hey, big moment. We need it. We're going to our best receiver, which is what most teams do, right? We did it with Terry. We had a critical 3rd and 5. What did we do? We threw a slant to Terry. He converted. We had a critical 4th and 1. What did we do? We threw a slant to Terry. That's what you do in big situations. You go to your best player, and generally, it's a slant. Why? It's the safest throw in football that's not right at the line of scrimmage. So why would you be playing, and they already ran a slant earlier, why would you be playing anything else but the slant? That 3rd and 4 completion was way too easy. At the end of the game, tied at 26. You should have been taking away the slant. If Geno Smith wants to throw a dime down the sideline on a go ball, then so be it. So be it. But I'm not going to give him the satisfaction of being able to go 3-step drop against all-out pressure, which he doesn't have time to just set up, and he's going to have to either set up and let it go deep and hope he makes the right throw, or he's going to have to 3-step drop, back foot hits the ground, ball out. I know this. You should be playing with inside leverage, taking the slant away. That's just how I would react as a corner. But that's just me. After having already gave up a pass interference on the same exact play, you don't think they're going to come back to that? To DK Metcalf? That's frustrating. And then on the game-winning 27-yard completion, essentially, I don't even know what the hell we're supposed to be doing there. Benjamin St. Juice turns him loose inside. It's soft coverage. Nobody runs with DK Metcalf. I don't understand how their best receiver gets that kind of coverage at that juncture of the game. And then, of course, our old friend, 35, Percival Butler, can't get a guy down and cap a play like he's supposed to, because if he tackles DK Metcalf at the 40, which is where he should have, Seattle either would have had to spike the ball and try to get another 5 to 6 yards to get in the field goal range, or they would have done exactly what they ultimately did, race to the line, spike the football, and kick the field goal from 58 yards. Excuse me, I think it was 58. It might have been 53. All right, I think it might have been at the 35. Either way, of course, he doesn't make the tackle because he never does. And he gets an additional 7, 8 yards. And instead of it being a 53-yard field goal, which is very missable, It's a 44-yard field goal. Very makeable. And of course, he makes it. So, again, so many different things could have happened. I don't blame Jack. I know a lot of you want Jack fired, and rightfully so. This defense stinks. And a lot of it is because of Jack's doing. A lot of it is because of personnel. These problems that exist are all because this is what you did, right? Whether it's the players, you picked them, you coached them, right? They're not doing the job. Get them out. Get somebody else in that will. They don't do that, right? You can't complain about Chase Young freelancing but you continue to play him. You don't bench him. You don't send a message to the rest of the team. Either you do it our way or you're not going to play, right? So I don't really want to hear about that. When guys don't do it correctly, when guys don't take the extra step to pay attention to the small granular details, that's on you as a coaching staff. Belichick just cut a guy that played really well for him last year. You got to send a message sometimes. Just so we're clear, I don't want Belichick anywhere near this organization. I'm just telling you, sometimes you got to send a message. I'm not saying it's got to be that extreme where you cut a guy, but that's what Jimmy Johnson used to do. He used to send a message to his team. Oh, you got asthma? There's the asthma field over there. See you later. You want to fall asleep in my film meeting? You're cut. Oh, you kick in on the bus after a loss? You pack your shit and get out. Sometimes you just got to send a message to the rest of the squad so they know this ain't what you think it is. It ain't. Ain't no games here. And that's not what this staff is. The team will never be disciplined. We don't have enough talent. And so you don't have any margin for error when you don't already have a ton of talent defensively. So everybody's got to do everything the right way. And they're not. Your end result is a 29-26 loss. Another gut punch. But there is a silver lining. My quarterback has Arctic veins. Okay? His shit don't even flow. It's just frozen. Okay? It ain't ice water. His shit is frozen. Okay? Let's get through the keys to victory and see how we did, and then we'll move on. Commanders on the offensive side of the football, first key was continue to keep the sacks at a minimum. I gave them full credit for that. They gave up 3 sacks. I thought there was pressure all day, but I actually was pleased at how they handled the pressure for the most part. There were a lot of blitzes early. I was shocked at how often they blitzed to start this game. The very first play of the game, they sent the nickel corner Witherspoon on a blitz. The third, fourth play of the game, they saw Jamal Adams on a blitz. Like, they were coming early. They were trying to confuse our line. They saw the struggles that we had earlier in the season. What they didn't account for is that we fixed a lot of the issues on the interior because they were attacking this offensive line early and often. And they got through a couple of times, and Cosme didn't pass off a pressure, a twist rather, like he should have, and it led to a pressure right up the middle and a sack. But for the most part, like the first touchdown of the game, 5 plays in to Brian Robinson Jr., that's a blitz. And Cosme catches Jamal Adams coming at the last second, gets a piece, right? That allows Sam to dip the shoulder, step up, buy time, and then escape. And he looks like he's tucking the run, so the defense sucks up, and this is what happens when you got a playmaker or playmakers, because Brian Robinson also stayed alive, and he didn't just stand there and watch. He got up the field and gave Sam a window to throw the football into, similar to the play, if you recall, week 1 against Arizona, right? Sam scrambling to his left. He needs somebody to bail him out. Brian Robinson keeps working on the play, and where does Sam go? He gets the ball to Brian Robinson. Those two are creating synchronicity, and they're getting on the same page. When things break down, he knows he can find number 8, right? And we saw that twice in this game for big chunk plays. One for the touchdown, as I just mentioned, and then the other, a big 45-yard gain that set up another scoring opportunity for Washington. So I thought for the most part, you gave up 3 sacks. That's a really good, I think people don't give Seattle's pass rush enough credit. And then they mixed in a bunch of blitzes. I thought Sam did a really good job of getting the ball out of his hands, especially in the first half. I know it didn't always yield, the positive dividends that we were looking for in terms of converting on third downs and things of that nature. But I thought he didn't allow the pressure to get to him, to sack him, to push us out of a manageable third down. I thought in the first half, he was so poised and calm and cool and collected that it calmed down a lot of Seattle's pressure, because we beat them already on it once, and they knew that he was capable of beating on them again, and they had to back off. And you saw it on the third down late in the game, 3rd and 10, De'Ami Brown touchdown. Look at how much time Sam has. Why? They could have blitzed again. They could have sped up his clock. If they thought they could get there, they would have. They dropped and played coverage because they knew if they came with pressure and Sam escaped like he had been doing all game, he could hurt them. So what did they do? They rushed 4, they dropped 7, and Sam had all day because the pass protection was phenomenal on that play, and he scorched them. I thought the sacks were kept to a minimum. 3 is fine. I'd like it to be less, but for where we've come from to where we are now, in that environment against that pass rush, Seattle came in tied for 7th in the league in sacks. I think 3 is more than fair. Good job there by the line. Full point. Run the run game and third down efficiency back was the next key to the game offensively. We ran the efficiency on third downs back. We were 7 of 15. That's right around 50%, right? Just a shade under 50%. So that's where we've been trending the last 3 weeks, right? This game, New England and Philadelphia, we've been phenomenal on third downs, and that kind of continued in this game. Unfortunately, however, we did not run the run game back from last week against New England. There was no consistency. There was no stick-to-itiveness. We got away from the run game essentially after the first possession of the game. It's like he came out, it's like, hey, I'm going to run it a couple times. And as soon as those didn't pop, all right, let's just go to Sam. We know that works. And that's bullshit. And Sam Cosmi, after the game, said, bro, we're one-dimensional. Like, it felt so good to run the ball 4 times in a row. Like, we don't even know how that feels at this point almost. You know how good that shit felt? To lean on them for 4 plays in a row? That's an offensive lineman crying out for help. He's crying to his offensive coordinator through the media, please run the football more. We want to run it more. He can't say that. But that's his way of saying, damn, can we please run the ball? No, so you get half credit there. We didn't run the football the way that we ran it against New England. There was no dedication to the run. However, we did have efficient third down behavior offensively. And so half credit there. Touchdowns, not field goals. We talked about the importance of that. And I gave them full credit for that. We only made it into the red zone once. And we did score a touchdown. And we also had a bunch of opportunities when we got down there. And I thought for the most part, we did a good job of getting into the end zone. It was a tough afternoon. You knew it was going to be tough. You knew the opportunities were going to be, hit or miss. And you weren't going to have a ton of them because we just haven't put together a full game of offensive consistency yet. And this game spoke to that. First quarter, you start off fast. Kind of, gets a little stale there from, halfway through the first on into the second. And it's essentially a 9-9 ball game at halftime. Kind of remains that way in the third quarter for us. Seattle takes the lead on the big catch and run, and then they tack on a field goal and, extend that lead out. We get a field goal as well, right? It's, 12-16, then they get a field goal back and make it 19-12, and that's where it kind of stays until the fourth quarter. Sam takes us down the field. We run the ball, and I said that during the post-game show. It's amazing what happens to the offense when we run the football, right? The offense magically came alive. I don't think that's an accident, but you let EB tell it, you let Ronald tell it. We got to continue to develop this quarterback, man. We got to throw it 45 times or he won't develop. Okay, so you can't run it if you're developing the quarterback, right? Those two don't mix. You cannot develop an NFL quarterback unless he throws it 45 times. So I'm sorry, we can't run the ball because we got to develop the young quarterback. Touchdowns, not field goals. I gave them a full point for that. I thought they handled what they needed to handle, especially in the fourth quarter. Speaking of handling, the last key to the game offensively, handle the environment and the turnover battle. Unfortunately, We didn't handle the turnover battle, but we did handle the environment. I was pleased. We didn't have a ton of pre-snap penalties. I think we only had like one or two, the 12 men on the field, there. And then there was a timeout late in the game that you don't want to take after an incomplete pass. But, I didn't really, like, a lot of people were tripping, I think Dirty Chez was saying, hey, you can't take that timeout. And at that point, I'm like, bro, this is it. Like if we don't score here, I know you're thinking, well, they'll have all three of your timeouts and you'll have a chance to get the ball. If we didn't score there, the game was over. They were going to get a first down. Okay. If we didn't score and all they needed was a first down, they were going to get the first down. Okay. This was it. So using the timeouts there didn't faze me. Get the right play call in there. Make sure that we're all on the same damn page because this is it. So I didn't have a problem with that. Thought they handled the environment just fine. Unfortunately, we didn't win the turnover battle. And like we've seen with this defense pretty much all season long, we don't create any damn turnovers, right? How are you going to win the turnover battle if you don't create one in the first place? My guess, and I could be wrong here, we've played 10 games now. My guess is that of the 10 games, at least 5 of them, my guess is that more games than not, we didn't create any turnovers. But I think that's a bit harsh. So I'm going to say of the 10 games, 5 of them, we didn't create any turnovers. And let's see if we can do it right now because I'm pretty good at this. Arizona, we created turnovers. Denver, we created turnovers. We didn't create any turnovers against Philadelphia in the first game. Week 4 against the Bears, the Bills, excuse me. We didn't create any turnovers against the Bills. All right. Or did we? Yeah, we did. Kendall Fuller had a pick. So didn't create any turnovers week 4 against Philadelphia or week 5 against the Bears, for that matter. Week 6 against the Giants or the Falcons, you did create turnovers. Week 7 against the Giants, you did create a turnover. All right. Week 8 against the Eagles, the second time you did create a turnover. Week 9 against the Patriots, you did create a turnover at the end. And then week 10, you didn't create any turnovers. So only 3 games out of the 7, they didn't create any turnovers. But let's see how many of those games we actually won the turnover battle in. That's key. We won it against Arizona. Or no, we didn't. We turned it over, 4 times in the Arizona game? Sam threw the pick, or was it even? Sam threw a pick, he fumbled. That might have been it. And they turned it over twice. We might have been even in that game. You know what? Let me get my device. I'm actually, I'm like a dog with a bone when I get to these types of things. I don't know how to conduct myself. I have to know. So let's just look and see. Now I'm curious. I think my memory serves me correct. It was 2 turnovers for us, 2 turnovers for them. Nope. We had 3 turnovers in that game. Who else turned it over? Sam turned it over. I'm about to go to the box score and find out. Let's see. Sam fumbled. He threw a pick. And Antonio Gibson fumbled. Oh, that's right. He fumbled in the red zone in that game. That's right. So we lost the turnover battle in the first game of the season. I should be able to do the rest of these without the aid of any help. The second game of the season against the the Broncos, we won the turnover battle in that game. The third game of the season, clearly we lost the turnover battle against the Bills. Fourth game of the season, neither team, I don't think, turned the ball over in that Eagles game. Fifth game of the season, we clearly lost the turnover battle against the Bears. So let's count these up. Lost it in week 1. Lost it in week 3. Lost it in week 4. Week 5. Lost it in week 5. Or, excuse me. Lost it in week 1. Lost it in week 3. Lost it in week 5. Week 6, we won it. Week 7, I think we lost it in week 7. Let me check the Giants game. I know Saquon had the fumble, but I feel like we turned it over twice in that game. That's my feeling, but I could be wrong about that. Let's see. Yeah. Nope, the Giants turned it over twice. So we won it in that game. So let's see. Week 1, week 3, week 5, week 8 against the Patriots. I think we lost the turnover battle, if I'm not mistaken, because we had the fumble and then Sam threw a pick, and they only had the pick. So we lost it in week 9, rather. And then we lost it again in week 10. So 1, 3, 5, 9, and 10. So 6 out of the 10 weeks. 1, 3, 5. Didn't lose it in 6. You didn't lose it in 7. You didn't lose it in 8, 9, and 10. So 5 out of the 10 weeks we lost the turnover battle. Okay. So, and usually when we lose it, it's not just 2-1. It's usually like 3-1. Or in the Bills game, it was like 4 or 5 to none, or whatever it was. Anyway, we don't create turnovers, and so you're asking the offense to essentially be perfect. Don't turn it over because the defense isn't going to create any turnovers. That's frustrating. So half credit there. We handled the environment, but we didn't win the turnover battle. Commanders defense. First key of the game, keep Geno Smith in the pocket. I gave him half credit for that. They did a solid job, but there were times where they let Geno out of the pocket, let him, create off schedule. The touchdown pass to Lockett is an example of not keeping him in the pocket, not keeping him contained. The dump down to the running back, Kenneth Walker III, on the 64-yard catch and run is another example of Geno getting out of the pocket and us not keeping him contained. There was a third down run where the Red Sea parted essentially, and he runs up the middle and gets the first down. And that's what we saw against Mac Jones. And I told the mob, if that continues, Geno will exploit that, and he did. So, but he didn't like break our backs. There wasn't like this, crazy breakdown in a play, and then somebody gets open deep, he heaves it, and it's a 74-yard touchdown. But he did hurt us. But half credit. This wasn't a problem that like plagued us the entire day, but it had its moments, and those were some key moments. So half credit. Limit the run game and the big playability of the wide receivers. No credit for this one. You didn't limit the run game. I actually thought the Seahawks ran the football very effectively in this game, which was very disappointing. Whether it was Zach Charbonnet or it was Kenneth Walker III, it felt like when they needed to run the ball, they were able to run the football. There were stretches where they were getting 4 and 5 a pop. It felt like on every single touch. And you're like, bro, this is like, do we have to go to the Cinco package? Can we not stop this with our base, because this is getting out of hand? It got to a point where I'm like, bro, we got to do something. This is getting old fast. And then obviously DK hurt us, Lockett hurt us. Both of them almost had 100 yards, and then the running back on a 64-yard catch and run hurt us. Like, the big plays continue to be a problem. When you need to stop the most, you give up a 27-yard catch and run to DK to put them in the field goal range. When you had things going well defensively, you give up the 64-yard catch and run for a touchdown. Like, these are the things that are back-breaking, that hurt you, that lose you football games, and we continue to do them week after week after week. So no credit there for limit the run game and the big playability of the wide receivers. Win third downs, red zone, and time of possession. They got half credit for this because we won third downs. We won the red zone. We were 1 of 1 in the red zone. The Seahawks were 1 of 2 in the red zone. Okay? And we forced them to kick a bunch of field goals. So I felt like we did our job in that regard until, obviously late in the game, we didn't do it there. But we didn't win time of possession. And some of that is just based off of the fact that in the second half, some of it in the first half too, just not sustaining offense. Our defense didn't do a good enough job of stopping Seattle from possessing the football and getting it back to our offense. It's specifically in the second half, where they scored on every possession in the second half except one, and that was the very first possession out of the halftime break. We got them off the field in a 3 and out, and then we get the field goal to take a 12-9 lead, and then they go right down the field, 64-yard touchdown score. And from that point on, we couldn't stop them, right? And when you see 4 of 14, you don't expect to lose time of possession, but they were killing us on first and second downs. And I talked about this leading up to the game. Like, they're not good on third downs, but they combat that by being good on first and second down, and we let them hurt us on first and second downs in this game. And so we didn't win the time of possession, so have credit there. And then lastly, start fast, finish faster. You can't start any faster than we did, okay? We had our biggest play from scrimmage of the season on offense on the 51-yard catch and run by Brian Robinson on the off-script Sam Howell play, where that's just beautiful Patrick Mahomes-esque type shit there, you know. Extend, get out of there, sidearm, laser beam, boom, down the sideline, touchdown. Like, that's gorgeous. That's what playmakers and ballers do. The defense then promptly gives up a field goal, but it's not a touchdown, right? And then we finished fast on offense. Unfortunately, the defense couldn't finish any more sluggish on defense, giving up scores on each of their last 3 defensive drives, including the game winner with 52 seconds left, giving up the field goal in walk-off fashion. So, again, started fast, but didn't finish faster. And so have credit there. So when it's all said and done and you total it all up, 1, 2, 3, 4.5 out of 8. You're not going to win a lot of games with anything less than 5. And usually 5.5 is where I like to be. 5.5 and up, I think, gives you a great chance. But 4.5 is usually a losing performance. And in this case, it was, and it barely was, but nonetheless, it was. So really disappointing that we find ourselves here at 4 and 6. And you know what? It's fitting, because this is what this staff has been. This is what this team has been. The players that they picked, the players that they've coached up. This is what they've been throughout Ron Rivera's tenure. 4 and 6, losing to teams like Chicago and the Giants, not winning these types of games that are here for the taking. This is who they've been. So it's only fitting that in his final season here, they end it the way he started it and the way that he's been really throughout. I talk about the lack of consistency with this team and how maddening it is. The one thing that has been consistent is the level of inconsistency from this team and the level of consistency in not finding ways to win games like this against good opponents and finding ways to lose because of not doing the little things correct. And that, again, is on the players, but it also is a reflection directly on the coaching staff. And I can't think of a better way for this thing to end for the Rivera regime. So we're 4 and 6. On to New York we go, but we're not done lamenting a 29-26 loss to the Seahawks. Let's talk about the snap counts for Week 10 and how that was divvied up. We'll talk about what Ronald had to say at the podium today, and then we'll get out of here. So let's take a look at the snap counts for week number 10, see if somebody got too many, too little, yada, yada, yada. Let's discuss. So as you can see, 61 offensive snaps, which I've always told you, and let's see how many Seattle had in this game. I always told you that 60, offensive snaps is not a good number unless you took the ball and you literally ran it and took the air out of the football, and hence limiting the amount of snaps for both teams. That's not what was done here by either squad. So let's take a look and see what the ultimate damage was done here by Seattle from a snap standpoint. My guess is they had over 70 snaps. That's my guess. Let's see. We had 61. They had 74. That sounds about right because it felt like they had the ball the entire second half. That's what it kind of felt like to me. Anyway, Andrew Wiley, Charles Leno Jr., Chris Paul, Sam Cosmi, and Tyler Larson, the entire starting 5 of the offensive line, all played every single snap, which is what you want to see every single week. Sam Howell also going to be on the field for all 61 of the snaps as the quarterback. Jahan Dotson played the most snaps out of any non-quarterback or offensive lineman at 58 snaps. So he played 95% of the snaps and only got 2 targets. Please, somebody, anybody out there, make it make sense. Help me. Couldn't get this man a screen, a hitch, slant, nothing, right? None of that. He just doesn't exist. After having 12 catches combined the last 2 weeks and looked like the best player on the field, not named Sam Howell last week against New England, or even the Eagles game prior to that where he had like 8 or 9 catches, had the big touchdown catch last week. We can't get Johan the ball. Not once. Gotcha. But he played 58 snaps, though, out of a possible 61. So he's just out there running around for cardiovascular reasons. Clearly. Terry played 53 snaps, 87%. Logan Thomas, 45 snaps, 74%. Brian Robinson, 31. Like that number's way too low. You're essentially telling me he played 50% of the snaps. In a game that was either tied, we were leading, or slightly trailing, he has 31 snaps. Again, make it make sense. Like, I talked so glowingly about EB, the distribution of snaps, the distribution of touches, the play calling. I was so excited last week, and then he reverted back to his old ways. I know it takes time to they say it takes 28 days, I believe, to change a bad habit. I know it takes time. It's not going to happen overnight, but damn it, man. This shit is frustrating. 8 carries. 8 carries, and the man was averaging damn near 5 a pop. You didn't even give it a chance. And I got to say this. I especially after losses, I tend to be in the comment sections of various sites and things just to see how people, and I don't know why I do this, because a lot of these people on these various social media sites are just nauseating. Like, they have no clue what they're talking about. Swear that they're this football savant, right? Let me just give you a piece of advice. If you don't remember anything I said on this particular episode, just take this away with you, okay? I'm going to drop a quick gem on your melon. If somebody starts or ends a conversation, and hopefully they reveal who they are right away by starting the conversation with this line. But if they start or end a conversation with this line, stop talking to them. They probably don't know what they're talking about. And you don't want to have a conversation with them because they think they do. If someone says, you don't know football if ... or they finish a conversation with, or finish a statement with, clearly you don't know football, stop talking to them. You're wasting your time. I promise you're wasting your time. Literally somebody in the comment section of one of these, posts on social media said, clearly you don't know football because if you were watching the game, you could see that they couldn't run. How could you draw that conclusion when Brian Robinson might have had 3 carries in the first half? Maybe 3 carries in the first half. So you've identified off of 3 carries that we can't run the football. When clearly, when they ran it in the fourth quarter, we had a ton of success. Again, if someone starts a conversation with you about football by stating, you will never, ever hear me say, you don't know football. I might disagree with you. I might think you don't know football. I'm not going to tell you that. Because me qualifying my statement by telling you what you don't know doesn't make me sound smarter. So I just wanted to, if nothing else, at least take that away from today's conversation, okay? Anyway, that shit pisses me off. And I know you guys are going to, be funny and you're going to do that to me because I just told you how much it pisses me off, but at least I know you're joking, okay? Curtis Samuel, 31 snaps. Good to just see that he started and finished the game. I shouldn't say he finished the game. I don't know if he finished the game or not. I shouldn't say that because I'm not sure if he finished the game or not. I think he finished the game. Gibson, 29 carries. 29 snaps, 48%. John Bates, 25 snaps, 41%. And I'm glad they got John Bates more involved. EB said that he was going to do that. I thought that they should do that. Again, don't throw screens to John Bates, please. Seriously, we got other guys you can do that with. You could have thrown that same screen to Jahan Dotson. And I get it. It probably hits a little bit more. It slaps a little bit more when it's to the tight end because of all the action. I'd much rather you throw that screen to Jahan Dotson. Okay? I got a creative way you can do that too. Right? And instead of using John Bates as the receiver, you can use him as an additional blocker. And you get Jahan Dotson a touch early in the game and keep him involved. Everybody wins. What was that? De'Ami Brown, 11 snaps, 18%. Had, two of the bigger catches of the game. A slant on the third down to keep a drive alive. And then, obviously, the 35-yard catch and run touchdown to tie the game up or give us the chance to tie the game up. Byron Pringle, 10 snaps, 16%. Alex Armour had a catch in the game, 6 snaps, 10%. But anytime you see his number that low, it kind of shows you we probably didn't commit to the run game at all. He should be at least in double digits, 10, 11, 12 snaps. 6 tells you they didn't even try to run the ball because he's not going to be in for any other purpose but, running the football or giving the illusion under center that we're running the football. Jamison Crowder, 6 snaps, 10%. And obviously his number was going to go down because Curtis was back, but he also had a drop. But I'm not killing him for that. Anything you see here out of whack, out of order, that needs to be adjusted. My biggest gripe this week is Brian Robinson Jr., the star of the game, over 150 yards of total offense, averaging 4.8 yards a carry, had 6 catches for 116 yards, 8 carries for 38 yards. The guy's, every time he's touching it in this game for the most part, he's dominating, and he only has 31 snaps in the game. Make it make sense again. Make it make sense. So we go to the defensive side, and as you can see, 81 snaps. That's a lot of snaps. And the reason it doesn't match up quite with the number of plays that Seattle ran, the 71 that I spoke about earlier, or I think it was 74 that I said they ran, is because of penalties, right? If it's a penalty and it's accepted, then there's no official play. But that still doesn't, stop you from counting it as a snap. They still did play the snap. So 81 total snaps for the defense. And Percy Butler, Cam Curl, Kendall Fuller, Jamin Davis, Benjamin St. Juste. Usually there's 5 guys, 3 corners, or 3 defenders in the secondary, 3 or 4, and then the linebacker who's calling the plays. Defensively, that's Jamin Davis now with Cody Barton being out. So those are the 5 guys. 4 in the secondary, 2 starting safeties, your 2 starting corners, and your linebacker. All played 100% of the snaps. Jonathan Allen, after last week, going back into the, I think they might have even been in the 60s last week, which was refreshing. If not 60s, 70s, which is still great. He's back in the 80s at 67 snaps for 83%. Deron Payne, 64 snaps, 79%. David Mayo, 63 snaps, 78%. Casey Toohill, 61 snaps, 75%. F.A. Obata, 50 snaps, which I like F.A., right? I want to see him more, reduced down inside and given a chance to rush inside, but 62% of the snaps. Danny Johnson, obviously much bigger role because of the ejection of the rookie Emmanuel Forbes Jr. 49 snaps, 60%. John Ridgeway, 31 snaps. Let me shorten this because I was about to say they don't even have Emmanuel Forbes. They do. I just didn't make it so you could see it. That's on me. So John Ridgeway, 31 snaps, 38%. James Smith-Williams, we got to hope he's okay. We can't afford an injury to James Smith-Williams. It didn't look good. It's a hamstring. He needs his hamstring. I don't anticipate seeing him until post-bye. That's my guess. 24 snaps, 30%. Quan Martin, 18 snaps. So for me, I need to see more Quan Martin and Percy Butler. And again, I know this is probably not feasible because Percy's a year ahead of Quan in terms of development, knowing where to be and all of that good stuff. And you know what's bad about Percy is he's actually not bad. He made some plays in this game. That's the part that kills me is I want to like Percival Butler. But there's Percy and then there's Percival. Percy is out making a play and breaking up a pass down the field, Percy is on 3rd and 5, tracking Noah Fant on a shallow cross, sifting across the formation, and tackling him for a 2-yard loss. That's Percy Butler. Percival, however, can't stop a nosebleed in the secondary. He can't cap plays, and he's missing tackles left and right. 64-yarder last week, 64-yarder this week, and then the 27-yarder to get them in the field goal range when he could have stopped that at a 17-yard gain, right? And forced that field goal to be from 54 yards instead of 44. Less Percival, more Percy, please. Quan Martin, 18 snaps. Same with Fedarian Mathis. Both played 22%. Andre Jones, 16 snaps, 20%. He did have 2 more pass breakups. He did get his hands on a couple of passes. So good for Andre Jones Jr. He didn't get to the quarterback. Shit, at least you can do is get your hands up. KJ Henry, 12 snaps, 15%. So we said he needed more snaps. He got more snaps. He just didn't do anything with them. Khaleke Hudson, 8 snaps, 10%. And I think the Khaleke Hudson needs to play more crowd has simmered down now. Okay? There was this crescendo at the beginning of the season, and it got very loud. We need Khaleke Hudson, and then he played, and then they were like, oh, I don't really hear you guys anymore. Are you still there? Maybe you are. And Emmanuel Forbes Jr. obviously only played 5 snaps, was ejected 6%. That really hurt. Somebody in the mob said, well, it's only Forbes. We don't really need him. And I said, wait, what? Come again? We don't need him. Clearly, you don't know football. I kid. Anyway, Ronald Rivera spoke as he always does after a game. We heard from guys in the locker room after the game, and it sounds like it's over. Like, again, what is it supposed to sound like after a crushing walk-off field goal by the opposition? The ops got us as time expired. That's what it sounds like in those moments. And somebody asked me, what does the locker room sound like after a game like that? That's what it sounds like. Nothing. Nobody wants to talk. This is how I know it's trending towards being over. Somebody got to Jonathan Allen, which is a good thing. Probably his wife, if I had to guess, who said, hey, bro, you can't talk to the media when you're upset like that. You're making people think you don't want to be in Washington anymore. And that's couldn't be further from the truth. He just wants to win. And when you lose in the fashion that we've lost this season, whether it's the Giants game or the 2 Eagles games or this game, it pisses you off, right? So, because the close ones always sting more than the ass whoopings. You know, you lose to the Bears, you're pissed off because you lost to a bad team, but you got your ass kicked. It wasn't 1 or 2 plays that lost you the game by 20. You got your ass kicked. It's when you lose by 3. It's when you lose by 7. It's when you lose by 6 or 4 or 1. Those are the ones that hurt the most because 1 or 2 plays would have changed the outcome. And so, Allen had the rant after the loss to the Giants, and everybody, just Jonathan Allen went out, and teams started calling us to see if he was available because they thought he was frustrated and upset and wanted out. And somebody got to him, whether it was his agent or his wife or, somebody got to him and said, bro, don't do that shit again. If you don't want to talk to the media and you're pissed off, just tell him you'll talk to him when you get back to Ashburn. This man literally said, I heard this from a Boston Celtics, coach or player or whoever last year. And he said, nobody ever thanks God. The man went to God on us. Okay? He went to God on us. And there's never a wrong time to go to God, by the way. Let me just say that. But rarely do you hear somebody go to God after a loss, which was his point, right? He said, we always uplift God and we praise him and we talk about how much, we give him the glory when something positive happens. But we rarely talk about him when something bad. He says, you know what I'm going to do right now? I'm going to give glory to God. I didn't laugh. Yes, I did laugh. I'm sorry. As he was putting on his chain with a cross on, he said, I want to give glory to God. I said, that's where we at, Jonathan. And he looked at me without actually looking at me, but he looked at me. His soul looked at me and said, yeah, that's where we at. I said, man, we down bad. we down really bad. When we putting on the cross chain and we say, pray, hey, let me give glory to God, man. We down. I don't even want to talk about ball right now. We down bad. All right. So yeah, it's bad, right? You know, Cam Curl sitting at his stool and he don't want to talk. I ain't got shit for y'all, man. Leave me alone, right? And there was a lot of dudes like that on Sunday. I ain't got nothing for you. It's bad. I think that's the one that's gonna break our back. And it could manifest itself on Sunday in another close, game against the Giants. It really could. I don't know what the mental state is at. This one felt like a must win. They didn't win, and now it's like, damn. Where do we go from here? We'll see. We'll see how this. One thing I can always say about this team is they've been resilient in the face of adversity. In the face of adversity that they normally are the ones creating for themselves, they always seem to bounce back. Whether it's the ass whooping at the hands of the Bills and then the following week playing well against Philadelphia, the ugly loss against the Bears and then bouncing back the following week and beating Atlanta. They always seem to handle that adversity. The bad loss to the Giants, bouncing back, playing well, and having an opportunity to beat Philadelphia. They always seem to bounce back in these moments. So I expect them, like round ball, to bounce back. But this one could be tough because there's a lot of different circumstances that don't usually exist. You can't keep saying, well, there's plenty of football left. That's not actually true anymore. That was the case when you lost to Chicago, and you could say, well, there's still 12 games left. After the Giants game, it's still 10 games left. Now it's 7. And while that is technically still a lot, just a shade under half of a season, it's not trending in the right direction for you. And the opponents that you have left on the schedule, not going to be easy. So you're 4-6. Can't talk about, still a lot of football left to be played. I think they know they missed an opportunity. And that's the thing that hurts the most. Anyway, Ronald, at this point, I don't really have a lot to say about what Ronald has to say because it's a lot of the same. I will say there were a couple of things that I agreed with him on, and then there were a couple of things where I go, Ronald, you still haven't learned your lesson now, have you? So just a couple of things that I agreed with him on. One, the pass interference call on Benjamin St-Juste. I don't agree with him that we're even talking about the fact that it was a penalty. It was definitely a penalty, okay? I agree with him from the standpoint of, bro, you were letting physical, and I said this after the game, right? You were letting physical activity go on in the secondary for both teams. You weren't calling it. I liken it to the NFC Championship game in 2020 with the Bucs and the Packers. They were letting each other, assault each other in the secondary, and then with the game on the line, Brady throws the ball, and clearly there's a penalty there, but you've been letting them engage in physical combat in the secondary the entire game, and now you want to throw the flag? At the most critical juncture, it just doesn't add up, right? That was Ronald's complaint, and I think he has a valid one. However, that's a penalty. Now, you can debate whether they let a lot of shit go and they should have let that go. That's the conversation we should be having, not whether that was a penalty or not, because clearly that was an infraction. And then he talked about guys, just kind of, having opportunities, but not taking advantage of them. And I agree with that as well. I think there were opportunities. Guys just needed to do their job. And I don't want to hear anybody in the staff just telling players to do their job at this point, because we don't think you're doing a good enough job of enforcing guys doing their job. And we don't think you're actually doing a great job at doing your job. So I don't want to hear that. And he didn't say that. So I was glad that he didn't. But of course, he reverted back to his standard operating procedure of, they ask a question about the defense and the explosive plays given up, and Ron's talking some bullshit that doesn't make any sense in that particular situation. Like, bro, we keep asking you questions about this defense and why you've been giving up big plays since you got here. That's been a problem since you got here. You give up big plays. And we hear communication, this, that. It's been different excuses at different times. What's your excuse now? And Ron's like, well, this. And I'm like, Ron, that shit don't make any sense, right? And then they asked him a question about the lack of the run game, right? Brian Robinson, every time he touches it, he's having an impact. Last week you got to the run game. This week you didn't get to it. You were never down big because that's the excuse you gave us earlier in the season. Hey, sometimes the score dictates that you have to take to the air and abandon your game plan. Okay, that hasn't been the case for much of this season. Okay, we've been in just about every single ball game. So what's your excuse this week? Because we were either leading, tied, or slightly trailing. You run the ball in the fourth quarter down a touchdown, and the offense comes to life. Can you explain why you didn't run it more in this game? And his answer was, wait for it. Come on, you know what it is. The development of the young quarterback. At that point, I wanted to just turn this shit off and just start my video. Okay, I can't do this shit with you today. I just don't have the patience to do this with you today. Cooler heads prevailed, and I laughed it off, and then I finished out the rest of the interview or the press conference, and I just... He talked about Percy Butler and his development, and he talked about, and that's another thing I agree with him, Percy Butler, he actually isn't terrible. I know you guys can't stand him right now, and I get it, and I'm so frustrated with him, but he actually makes plays. His speed is evident. You see it, right? When he takes off that 3rd and 3, when he takes off on no offense and explodes through him, and tackles him for a 2-yard loss to set up the 4th and 5, you're like, that's good shit, Percy. The pass breakup down the field, that's good shit, Percy. It's Percival that I just can't stand right now. Just can't stand Percival, because he can't tackle. Give me Percy, not Percival. But all in all, he co-signed EB, and you know what? I got to give Ron credit. At least he's going to allow this ship to sink, supporting his guys. He's not going to turn his back on Jack. He's not going to turn and that's what a good coach should do. Not going to turn my back on my guys. He's not going to turn on EB, even though EB is effing up by not running the football more. You can't convince me otherwise. I'm sorry. My young quarterback in his 11th career start shouldn't be averaging in his last 4 or 5 games 44 pass attempts. Like, that shouldn't be the case, but it is, because EB is ignoring the run game too often. But Ron is co-signing that, and I can't be mad at him. If I'm going down, or you going down, or he's going down, we all go down. I'm not going to point the finger at none of them. I get it. It's just frustrating because so the reason this loss didn't hurt me is because as I said at the beginning of the show, I already saw it coming, right? Felt like I was a part of the production team on this loss. Because everything that I said we couldn't do, and really that's been the case all season, right? When I give you the keys to the game, I'm literally telling you this is what we can and can't do. This is how we will or won't win. And then they go out and do the thing that I say we either can or should or have to. They either do that or they don't. And then I come back and say, this is what happened and here's why we lost, right? It just sucks that you're sitting here. When you look at the NFC, when you look at the way that this season is unfolding, you sit here and you're 4-6. And I can't help but think we should be no worse than 6-4. And you start looking at the Giants and the Bears, and you're like, we lost to those teams. Are you effing kidding me? Again, that is a reflection of this staff. You want to blame the players? I think it is okay to blame the players because they have culpability in this as well. But when you look at the overall record of this team, there is no excuse to lose to the 0-4 Bears at home. None. When you look at this team and you look at what they're capable of, and you look at the Giants, there is no excuse for losing to the 1-6 New York Giants. Or at that time, I think they were 1-5. None. And for that, you deserve to be where you're at, which is at 4-6, and clinging to life on a season that I think is pretty much dead at this point. It's not completely dead. You're on the monitor. You're being assisted by a breathing machine, but all it's going to take is a couple more losses to literally pull out the plug, right? I mean, you beat the Giants next week, you get to 5-6. If you don't beat Dallas on Thanksgiving, you're pretty much dead at that point. I mean, you could beat the goal was to get to 6-7 by the bye week. So this is the thing. You got to win 2 out of your next 3. You get to 6-7 at your bye, you got 4 games left. Who knows what happens? You got the Rams left, you got the Jets left, and you got the 49ers and the Cowboys. You can win 3 out of your final 4. But you got to get to 6-7. And you're not beating Dallas, more likely than not, Dallas and Miami. But if you can beat the Giants and Dallas, then you're playing with house money going into that last game before the bye. Who knows what happens there, right? You're not dead yet, but it's pretty morbid at this point. That was one that you felt like you pretty much had to have. Because of losing to Chicago and New York earlier in the season, you removed any margin for error that existed. Anyway, I digress. That's going to do it for me, your man Louie T, here on this installment of Commander's Nightly News. You know what it is. Post up. Take command. Hey, if nothing else, we got ourselves one. I'm outside. Y'all know where to find me. I ain't hard to find. You know what it is. That's my quarterback. That's my quarterback.
Here comes the diesel. Here comes the diesel. There's the snap, hand to Riggins. Good hole. He's got the first down to the 40. He's gone. The 35, the 30, the 20. He's gone.